First of all, how's pre-season been? Bit of an interrupted one for you?
Yeah, usually come back after Christmas. I've been fortunate enough previous years being able to play for Australia, so come back before Christmas was a little bit different, but yeah, I was pretty excited to get back and get these hips going, and yeah, everything's going well at the moment.
Speaking of your hips, surgery on both of them, how's your recovery been?
Yeah, look, I think it was pretty tough there to start, having crutches for both of them, but yeah, look, it was a little bit of a different one for myself. Didn't know how I was going to go, but surprisingly, been obviously recovered really well, and been training with the squad since obviously the second week of Geelong, and yeah, everything's been going really well. Pretty excited about it. I think I was supposed to start training with the team this week, so I'm 3 or 4 weeks ahead, and now looking at maybe the second trial, which is something that we probably weren't even going to pencil in.
Double hip surgery, it's obviously a pretty major operation. Was there ever a little bit of fear inside of you that you might not be able to take the field again?
Oh, look, I think for myself, it was more of the question mark of whether it would actually help with what was going on with my groins, but surprisingly enough, the physios and my doctor made the right decision of getting them both done. A little bit more damage than I thought at the start. I didn't know that MRIs don't always show the full extent of the injury, so yeah, there was a lot more damage than we thought when we first thought, but surprisingly enough, we had a guy called John O'Donnell, the hip surgeon, who's one of the best in the world, so we're very fortunate enough to have him do it. And yeah, it was a question mark whether I'll be the age I am, whether I'd be able to get back to the footy, and hopefully I can. I guess I've got 2 nice repaired hips, so hopefully I can do some good things this year, but yeah, we'll just see how we go.
You spent a lot of time on the sidelines last year. How challenging is that for you? Obviously, no one wants to be watching on.
I think for myself, probably the older I'm getting, the footy goes fast, or even when you're enjoying something, it goes really quick. But for me, I think just the opportunity to have the squad we had last year, and I know we fell short on that last hurdle in the grand final, but I was still very confident in the team, and just to be able to watch their progress and watch them blossom and not be a part of it was probably more the tougher thing. I think we're winning games and playing good footy, and wasn't a part of it. I felt like if I couldn't get back on the field, I might miss an opportunity of winning the premiership ring. I know I got out there in the grand final and didn't obviously perform the way we wanted to go, but for me, yeah, it was tough. Missing out on the Origin series, regardless if I was going to get picked or not, just to be able to be in the picture. And yeah, it was probably the longest I've been out playing rugby league in NRL, and it was pretty tough. I think speaking to a lot of guys that had ACLs or shoulder reconstructions or Achilles, I know fully well when they're in a tough slog in the inside of the rehab, and I felt the full force of it and realised how tough it is when blokes are doing mental demons. But for me, I've been pretty fortunate enough to have some of the guys that had hips, so we've both been leaning on each other, myself and Nick Meaney and Bronson Garlick, so been obviously going tit for tat for each other and understanding how we can both be better in certain stages. So yeah, hopefully I can have a full year.
Your pain management last year, you obviously played nursing the injuries at the end of the season. How tough was that? Were you in pain on the field?
I think for myself, probably come Anzac Day round, I was getting needled and getting local just to try and take the pain away, and sometimes I couldn't do back-to-back days of training. So for myself, it was more just, regardless of training, just making sure I was getting myself right for captain's run and be able to play in the game. So yeah, it was getting frustrating there, and I know it looked pretty gruesome. It was very tough when I did tear my groin in Magic Round, but physically it was probably the best thing I did. Surprisingly, it ended up taking a lot of pain away. I had 12 weeks off, and just ended up strengthening a lot of things around my body. Sorry, and even though it wasn't fixed, it was just more of this the muscle around. I build other muscles around those areas that was able to take a bit of pressure off it. So yeah, it was a lot of people have had those type of injuries, but unfortunately I didn't have any problems with osteopubis or anything. It was just because my hips had a massive imbalance and had a lot of tears in my hips, so that was the reason why I was getting so much groin pain.
Talk to me about your partnering club, Jerome Luai. How impressed were you with his season last year? One of the great individual campaigns.
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate enough to have him as my halves partner since 2019 at the back end of those final series, and he's always been a talent, Jerome. Just had to have enough confidence or belief from all the playing group and himself as well. You know, like we always knew how talented he was as a player, but now he's taken leaps and bounds. And looking back on it, I probably took a bit more of an ownership role in 2020 and 2021, and me being out was probably the blessing in disguise. You know, it just showed that it's his team. He's the halfback of our competition, halfback of our team, and he won Dally M for a reason. He's an outstanding talent, and I'm very lucky to have him as my half. And he's probably the top 2 halfbacks of this competition. So yeah, I think from myself and even the team, we all knew he had it. Just needed a bit more of a push, and you will see a lot more of that to come. I'm pretty confident.
Perhaps said before that he thought that with a few of you boys out, that Jerome really stepped up into a leadership role and that unlocked his confidence.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the same?
Yeah, massive. I think, funny enough, or not funny enough, but some guys play rugby league and they're very talented kids and they don't have the confidence to go any further. And I think for him, he probably just needed a bit more of a confidence boost, or like us probably being out, for him to be able to shine. And we've all knew that he was talented. Like you always get, if you play in an early contract, you've obviously got there because of your talent. But for him, he just worked on his game, and for myself and perhaps being out and having those younger guys around, probably just made it a little bit more and heightened a little bit more that how much the team needed him. And now looking at it, he hasn't took a backward step, and I've kind of taken a little bit of a backward step and just letting him play the footy that he can play, and I'm just going to get on the back of it, and rightly so. He's the Dally M winner for a reason.
Stefano, talk to me about him. What are your first impressions, and how much can he add to your forward pack?
Oh yeah, I was pretty shocked to get someone of that calibre. You know, I think it's been a while since we've probably signed a forward, or let alone a talent that's probably played Origin footy and international footy for his country. I can't remember the last time we signed someone like that. Might have even been Michael Crocker, and he played for obviously Aussies and in Queensland at that time when he was at the Roosters. But I think for us, we've always been lucky enough to find the talent or sign them as a young kid and develop them. And for us as a group, don't lose anyone. We probably gain even more pack, and it helps Nelson out even more. I think for us going forward, it probably takes a little bit of a weight load off of Nelson. We don't have to rely on him a whole heap to get those meters or get those quick play the balls for us. We've got a lot of good workers in our team, like your Chet Lieros and your Josh Kings and your Alec McDonalds and stuff, and probably just needed a little bit more leg speed to help Nelson out, you know. So yeah, look, we won't be using Nelson a whole heap as much as we used to. In saying that, you never know. They both could just be 2 bash bros, you know, like that. They talk about obviously Leota and Fisher Harris. So we've got 2 big boys, and hopefully we can unlock him this year.
Talk to me about Craig Bellamy, one of the NRL's greatest ever coaches. What do you believe are the attributes that make him so successful? That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. Look, of this generation for sure, he's probably the best coach I've been fortunate enough to have and only have. And a lot of blokes always talk about what he's like, but for me, he keeps it simple. Just works hard. Like he always talks about effort and work ethic. That's his big one. And just trying to get the best out of yourself. I think whether that's being a carpenter, electrician, playing footy, he always has that saying on the wall at training. It's just obviously talent gets you there, but hard work keeps you there. And I think that just probably pretty much just puts him up to a T. Anything that he goes through, puts his body on, or he goes hard in the gym, whether that's obviously training, whatever he's doing, he's always putting his best foot forward and giving it 110%. So I think that he just does that, and then pretty much just filters down to the playing group, and I think that's why he's been so successful. Is he just demands so much from his players that he shows obviously how to do it first.
Do you have a memory or a moment that sums up Craig Bellamy for yourself? Obviously, he's been massive for you in your career.
I think it's kind of changed in a way. Like the older he's gotten, the more mellow he's got. I know it's probably a bit weird to say, but I think for me, I've always loved the love-hate relationship, but like just love how he always told me how it is. Like never sugarcoated it. If I needed to be tuned up, I needed to be tuned up, you know. So for me, whether I was doing something well or doing something bad, he'd always tell me to my face. He would never sugarcoat it or tell someone else and then someone tell me from a different source, you know. So that's something I loved about him, was just there's no bullshit, and he was just always honest with me and pretty much told me with certain things, whether that was me off field or on field, and just pretty much just showed that if you do the right thing here, they'll put a lot more effort into you. Ryan Hinchcliffe has a great saying: the more you put into the club, the more you get back out of it. And yeah, I think for myself, I've been very fortunate to put a lot into the club, and I've got back tenfold. So yeah, very forever grateful. But I think that's probably just the way he's been. Is just the way he wanted everyone to be around him. You know, good person first, and then a good footy player. So yeah, a lot of people come into the club and realise that obviously there's no dickheads there at the club, and that's the kind of the policy we have. So I know I got away with it for a little bit there, but I think for us, there's no one better than anyone at the club.